Hey guys, Mike from Buckets here. It is a beautiful day here in Seattle, so I'm working out on the deck at the Buckets office. Today's video, we're going to go off book a little bit. Previous videos we focused mostly on tips, tricks, tutorials, that sort of thing. Today, we're going to be looking at a yet-to-be-released beta feature that we're gonna bring into the live environment Thursday, possibly Wednesday, but we're not going to announce it. This is going to be something that we release into the wild as a beta. It's a little bit of a hidden feature, which you'll see shortly. So we kind of want to have those of you who are close enough to the product to watch these videos or who we communicate with take it for a spin. We internally want to take it for a spin, but most people, unless they stumble into it, are probably not going to know it exists. There's a few things that I already kind of know that I'd like for us to do to get it truly, quote-unquote production ready. So that's when we'll actually announce it, when it becomes a more refined feature. But for now, it's kind of a fun thing for you guys to play around with and for me to be able to show you guys today. So let's go ahead and jump to a card. This is a test project, and it actually isn't even on our live environment. This is one of our staging environments. We have a few staging environments. Typically, when code is getting ready to potentially go live, it might go through one of our staging environments. We test it internally. We test it with our QA teams, and then eventually it does, in fact, make it onto the Buckets.co production environment. So let's go ahead and open a card here. Okay, so in our last video, we touched on attachments, right? So I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple attachments into this card because it is actually applicable for this new feature that I'm going to show you guys today. So last video, we showed you guys kind of drag and drop on these attachments, how we can bring them into checklist items and create chips like this. So you'll see here momentarily why I am showing you guys that once again. So for those of you that are kind of old school nerds, you might be familiar with IRC. IRC stood for Internet Relay Chat. It was this chat system where you could log in. I think I hired some of my first developers that I worked with a number of years ago, maybe 14 years ago, through IRC. I think I bought my fake ID on IRC when I was 18. So anyways, IRC, broad spectrum of things, but what you have to know about it is that it was a chat service that we all could use back in the day. Still exists, but I don't think it's quite as used as it once was. But one unique thing about IRC is it had these slash commands. So you could go /join, for instance, and that would be the universal command for joining a new chat room, which were called channels. There were commands once you were inside the chat room, I think it was /message would be how you'd send like a private message to a specific user. /announcement maybe was like an announcement to the room. I can't remember what all the commands were, but for those of you that are Slack users that know about the Slack commands, my favorite one, /Jiffy, which connects you to the Jiffy service to send out animated GIFs to your coworkers. GIF or GIF, I'm not sure, right? That's my favorite command in Slack. But Slack, hopefully a product that many of you use. It's a great chat collaboration product, and it works very well with Buckets. So I have no problem recommending it to you guys. And so they have a number of slash commands. And so we're going to sort of follow in those footsteps and bring some of that into Buckets, potentially, because I think it's something that we're all growing more and more accustomed to. And I find myself in Slack using those slash commands for a lot of things that, you could right-click or you could click on something and do the command that way. But having it in line, I think, can be very helpful. So let's go ahead and show you guys what I mean. So I'm going to click into a checklist item, and I'm going to hit the slash. And now you see 3 new commands coming from here that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. We have the label, the reminder, and the attach. So just these are items that you can also find from a mouse over here, but sometimes it's very convenient to keep writing in line, to only use the keyboard. And in a mobile environment, we're not going to have a mouse, obviously, so the mouse over is not something that we have. So this can be very convenient for any one of those scenarios. So let me walk you through some examples. So let's say that, let's back this up and say, hey, important item, QA this now. And then let's say that we want to add a red label. So we're going to slash rather. We're going to hit label, and we're going to choose red. Okay, now we have a red chip. Let's go down to this guy, and let's say that we want to, for example, here are visual QA notes. Okay, and then we want to put an attachment chip. So if we go down to attach on these slash commands, then it's going to give me a choice of the attachments that are connected with this card. So let's go ahead and hit this one, and now you see the attachment chip that you could also produce by doing the drag and drop, right? Okay, and then last one, let's say that we wanted to add a reminder, so we slash and we go to reminder. That's going to bring up our reminder window. Hey, let's remind us about this one Friday, 5 p.m., right when people are ready to go hit up happy hour or something. Save that. All right. And we have our reminder chip. And so you can do this stuff all in line. And so the reason why this is really exciting for us is again, not just because we think it's going to be convenient and that you're going to get in the habit of doing these one-line things, but also because we have other ideas for things that we think really could benefit you guys to be able to do inline, on notes, on checklists, on comments, and things like that. And one thing about having a hover over like this is that, yes, it's convenient. I like how it feels. I like how it looks, but it's confining in that, like, we have 6 items on here. I don't think I want to go beyond that. So, this mouse over, is great for primary items, but let's say down the line we have 7, 8, 9, 10 or more commands that you can do in line on an item. We don't want this. We don't want this UI extending way out over here onto the left. So, that's another thing that it gives us the possibility of doing, is expanding upon what you can do in line here. So, now let me touch on why this is going to be a kind of a minimum viable product and a unannounced beta. There's a few things on this that I'm just simply not fully happy with, and I don't think will make sense to the greater population, let's say. So let's look through this again. So if I hit the slash, okay, and I hit label, okay, and let's do green. So if I just pause here, what you'll see is that what that command did is that it did exclamation point green. For those of you that don't know, that's currently a piece of language that you can do on any buckets checklist item. We can go exclamation point red, just type that out, and you're going to see a red chip right here. And so while you're typing, I don't like really that we're not seeing what you see is what you get. That's really what it comes down to, is that if I'm going to select something from here, I want that to appear as it's going to appear when you save it. I think that that's going to communicate what you're doing a lot clearer. The green, or the color label, that's one example of this. But I think it's a little bit clearer perhaps on the attach. So let's go to attach. It's going to give me the options to attach. So I choose one, and then you see all of this shortcode here. Now, to some of us who might have a little bit more of a development technology background, like, okay, this makes sense to us. It's not pretty, but it makes sense to us. To anyone that doesn't have experience working with this, it really is confusing. And for you to see this and then hit return and have it turn into this visual chip, I just don't think that there's a direct correlation. I think that it not only makes things a bit messy, just in that it's a long stretch of text, but also it's just not going to be recognized, I think, by all the people that we need to recognize it, And then the last example that I'm going to show you is, let's do a reminder. Hopefully the waves crashing to my right here are not drowning out the audio. I'll find out here once I rewatch this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a reminder. Okay, so we'll do a reminder, we'll choose next week, and we'll hit save. Okay, so this shows up right away. And if you noticed when we did the other ones, so we did, for instance, another label here, and we choose orange, well, it stays in edit mode on this one, right? And then I hit return, then it's going to save, then I see the chip. Well, reminders work a little bit differently, so we had to make it so that as soon as you choose a reminder, it saves, because if we go into edit mode, lo and behold, you're not actually going to see it. So this one is, as far as being a WYSIWYG environment, it's not even close, because you don't see anything. You know, with these other ones, at least you're seeing text that correlates over to that chip. But when it comes to reminders, you just see nothing. You just kind of have to have faith that it's there. So, you know, these are things that we can have in a beta release. These are the types of things that when we're testing something internally and we want to see if this is even a viable feature, once we get into the flow of using this in our live environment, well, these are things that we can get past, and we're not going to they're not going to get in our way of using, so that we can see if we even like this to begin with. But when it comes to making an explainer video or helping people through support, it's very hard to communicate that, you know, for instance, this reminder is here, but it's not, but it is. You know, those are the types of things, the types of clarity that we don't like. We like developing UX that doesn't even really require much support. And we have some complicated features, I realize, that might require a bit of documentation, but for the most part, we want you to just feel your way around and kind of have it make sense to you. That's our goal, at least. And so this particular feature, not quite in a position to sort of be recognized like that on a UX level, but it is in a position for us to use internally, for us to see if we like it, and if we do like it, then we're going to spend some more development time. One thing that we'd really love, especially for those of you that watch our videos, is to get your feedback. You know, go ahead, once this feature is out for beta release later this week, go ahead, hit the slash button, you know, throw things into your checklist items like that, into your comments, and see if you like this, see if you find value into it. I think that once we get things refined, you absolutely, I think, will. I know that I will, at least. Hopefully that's a universal feeling. But we'd love to get your feedback. This is how we shape these features for final release. So please give us your feedback. We're going to have feedback on our side. We're going to try to use it as much as possible in our day-to-day. And, you know, 4 to 6 weeks from now, most likely, we'll see what the final version of this looks like, and it's at that time that we'll, you know, make social media posts and you know, put posts in our support website and all that sort of stuff. But in the meantime, this is our little secret. So have fun with this. We will try to have another video later this week where we're going to get back into kind of our normal flow of things. So enjoy the rest of your week in the meantime, and we'll talk to you guys later here in a couple days. Thanks.